Did you know that some of the very foods you have been told are healthy could quietly be destroying your kidneys after the age of 60? Over the next few minutes, I am going to walk you through 4 everyday foods that the vast majority of older adults unknowingly overeat, and I will show you exactly how each of them can accelerate kidney damage in ways your body will never warn you about until it is too late. The 4 foods I am going to reveal today all share one haunting thing in common. Every single patient who has ever walked into my office with declining kidney function was eating at least one of them, often several. Not because they were careless, not because they did not care about their health, but because nobody ever sat them down and told them clearly that the rules of nutrition change after 60. My name is Dr. Thomas Smith, and I am a nephrologist, which is simply the medical term for a kidney specialist. I have been in clinical practice for more than 20 years, and in that time I have watched healthy, active, conscientious men and women end up facing the prospect of dialysis, not because they ignored their health, but because the right information never reached them in time. The foods quietly doing the damage were sitting right there in their own kitchens, trusted, chosen carefully, and believed to be healthy. Today I am going to tell you exactly what those 4 foods are. But before we get into the list, I need you to understand why they are dangerous specifically for kidneys that have crossed the 60-year mark. Because without that context, the list will not stick. And I genuinely want this to stick with you. If you are over 60 or if you love someone who is, please stay with me through this entire video. And right now, if you would, drop a comment below with your age and whether you have ever had your kidney function tested. Just your age and a simple yes or no. What I'm about to share is directly and personally relevant to where you are today. Let me tell you about a patient I will call Dorothy. Dorothy was 71 years old when she first sat down across from me in my office. She was a retired school teacher from Michigan, a sharp and engaged woman who walked every single morning without fail, took her medications exactly as prescribed, never smoked a day in her life. She was, by every measure you could name, doing everything right. Her annual blood work had flagged a slightly elevated creatinine reading, so her primary doctor ordered a full eGFR test, which stands for estimated glomerular filtration rate and is the standard measure of how well your kidneys are filtering your blood. A healthy value sits above 60. Dorothy's result came back at 52. Her doctor told her simply to watch her diet and to return for another check in 6 months. Dorothy, being the thoughtful person she was, went home and did what careful, intelligent people do. She researched. She switched from white bread to whole wheat bread and bran cereal. She started eating bananas every morning and adding avocado to her salads because everything she read online said potassium was wonderful for blood pressure. She began having canned tomato soup for lunch because it was quick and seemed modest in calories. She drank sports drinks on her morning walks because she had read that older adults needed more electrolytes. 6 months later, Dorothy came back for her follow-up blood work, and her eGFR had dropped from 52 all the way down to 38. In a single 6-month window, she had progressed from stage 3A kidney disease all the way into stage 3B. Her doctor immediately referred her to me. When Dorothy handed me her food diary, I read through every entry carefully. And here is the part that still breaks my heart a little. Every single item on that list looked responsible, thoughtful, the careful diet of a person genuinely trying to do right by her own body. Dorothy, I said to her gently, everything on this list looks healthy, and that is exactly the problem. She stared back at me, confused. But doctor, she said, I researched these foods. For someone with fully functioning kidneys, I told her, most of these foods are perfectly fine. But your kidneys are already operating at reduced capacity. When that happens, the rules change completely. Foods that protect the heart of a healthy person become a direct compounding burden on kidneys that are already struggling. Over the following year, we made very specific, targeted changes to Dorothy's diet. Her eGFR eventually stabilized at 41. It did not reverse because kidney damage at this stage rarely does, but it stopped progressing. Dorothy has avoided dialysis entirely. She is still cooking her own meals in her own kitchen today. So what was actually happening inside her kidneys? Here is what most people never find out until it becomes personally, painfully relevant to them. After the age of 40, kidney function naturally declines at roughly 1% per year. Data from the National Kidney Foundation shows that by the time a person reaches their 70s, they may have already quietly lost 25 to 30% of their kidney function with absolutely zero symptoms to warn them. No pain, no swelling, no discomfort of any kind. Just a single number on a lab report moving silently in the wrong direction year after year. And that decline fundamentally changes how your body handles food. The first issue is phosphorus. Your kidneys are responsible for removing phosphorus from your bloodstream. As kidney function declines, this process becomes impaired, and phosphorus begins to accumulate in the blood, a condition called hyperphosphatemia. Research published in the Journal of the American Society of Nephrology has directly linked this to accelerated kidney deterioration and vascular damage throughout the body. The most dangerous form of phosphorus is not the kind that occurs naturally in foods. It is the inorganic phosphorus added to processed foods as a preservative. Your body absorbs this inorganic phosphorus at a rate of 90 to nearly 100%, compared to only 40 to 60% for the natural phosphorus found in whole foods. That is a massive, clinically significant difference, and it does not show up anywhere on a standard nutrition label. The second issue is potassium regulation. Healthy kidneys maintain potassium at a precise, carefully calibrated level in your blood. When kidney function is reduced, any excess potassium can no longer be cleared efficiently, and it builds up to levels that can trigger genuinely dangerous cardiac arrhythmias. The American Heart Association has documented this connection clearly and repeatedly. The cruel irony here is that the very foods most heavily marketed to seniors for heart health, bananas, avocados, oranges, are among the highest potassium foods you can possibly eat. The third issue is protein load. High-protein meals force your kidneys to dramatically increase their filtration rate in order to handle the metabolic byproducts. In healthy kidneys, this is completely manageable. In kidneys already under stress, this repeated demand, called glomerular hyperfiltration, accelerates the breakdown of the kidney's delicate filtering units. Research in the Clinical Journal of the American Society of Nephrology has shown a clear, measurable link between high protein intake and faster kidney decline when function is already compromised. This matters enormously for seniors who have been told to eat more protein for muscle preservation, because that otherwise excellent recommendation changes meaningfully once your eGFR drops below 60. The fourth issue is sodium. As kidney function falls, the ability to excrete excess sodium drops right along with it. Sodium accumulates, fluid is retained, blood pressure rises, and that elevated blood pressure causes further kidney damage. It becomes a self-reinforcing, destructive cycle. The CDC has consistently identified sodium as one of the primary dietary accelerators of kidney disease progression in older adults. Let me tell you about 3 more patients because each of them illustrates a slightly different way this plays out in real life. The first was a gentleman I will call Howard. He was 68, a retired firefighter from Arizona, still physically strong. His primary care doctor had correctly told him to prioritize protein at his age in order to preserve muscle mass. So Howard went all in. Protein shakes every morning, chicken breast at every meal, protein bars as snacks between meals. What nobody had connected for Howard was that his eGFR had been sitting at 54 for the past 2 years, which represented enough kidney compromise that the standard protein recommendation no longer applied to him in the same way. Within 14 months, Howard's eGFR had dropped to 41, a full stage of kidney disease progression while he was faithfully following medically accurate advice that had simply been designed for a patient with different kidney function. How was I supposed to know the rules were different? He asked me quietly. He was not supposed to know. That is exactly why this video exists. Another patient I will call Beatrice. She was 74, a grandmother from Georgia who had thrown herself into cardiovascular health after her husband's heart attack. Avocado every day. Potassium supplements from an online article she had read. Spinach in everything. Her doctor knew she had stage 3B chronic kidney disease. It was clearly documented in her chart, but in a rushed 15-minute appointment focused on blood pressure and cholesterol medications, the dietary implications had simply never come up. One morning, Beatrice woke up with her heart racing, feeling weak and dizzy and unable to stand properly. Her potassium level in the emergency room was 6.4 millimoles per liter, severely elevated, nearly twice the upper limit of normal. Her heart rhythm was being genuinely affected. The emergency team treated her successfully and she recovered. But when I reviewed her case afterward, the picture was painfully clear. She had been loading her body with potassium that her kidneys simply could not remove. I was trying to protect my heart, she told me, still shaking. I had no idea I was hurting my kidneys. A third patient I will call Raymond. He was 79, a Korean War veteran from North Carolina recovering from cancer treatment. During his chemotherapy, his oncology team was understandably focused on getting calories into him, any calories, to help him maintain his weight. Canned soups, sports drinks for electrolytes, packaged convenience foods on his hardest days. Nobody flagged that his eGFR was 48 at that point. After treatment ended and he returned for follow-up, his eGFR had fallen all the way to 29. That placed him squarely in stage 4 chronic kidney disease. The phosphate additives in the canned goods, the sodium loads in the packaged soups, routinely 800 to 1200 milligrams per serving, nearly half of a kidney patient's entire daily sodium budget in a single bowl, had compounded across months of treatment. Raymond often tells me that he wishes someone had connected those dots sooner. Now let me walk you through the 4 foods themselves. The first food is processed and deli meats. This category includes deli turkey, ham, salami, hot dogs, packaged sausage, bacon, and any cured or preserved meat product. There are 2 major problems here for aging kidneys. First is the massive sodium load, and second is the presence of inorganic phosphorus additives. A single 2-ounce serving of deli turkey can easily carry 500 to 600 milligrams of sodium. And the phosphate preservatives, look for anything with the letters PHOS in the ingredient list, are absorbed at nearly 100% by your body. The National Kidney Foundation has specifically flagged phosphate additives as one of the most significant and overlooked hazards for patients with any degree of chronic kidney disease. Every time you eat processed meat, you are delivering a concentrated phosphorus dose to kidneys that are already struggling to clear it. The second food, and this is the one that surprises people the most, is high potassium fruit. I want to be very clear here. I am absolutely not saying fruit is bad. I am saying that for anyone with an eGFR below 60, certain fruits deliver potassium loads that a compromised kidney cannot adequately clear from the body. The main culprits are bananas, oranges, kiwi, cantaloupe, and avocado. All of them are genuinely healthy for people with normal kidney function. All of them are also well-documented contributors to elevated potassium levels in patients with chronic kidney disease, according to research published in the Journal of Renal Nutrition. The solution is not to stop eating fruit entirely. The solution is to shift. Apples, blueberries, grapes, strawberries, cranberries, and pineapple are all significantly lower in potassium and entirely kidney-friendly. The third food is whole wheat bread and bran-based products. I know exactly how this sounds when you first hear it. Whole grains have been promoted as a health cornerstone for decades, and for people with healthy kidneys, that promotion is absolutely well supported. But whole wheat bread, bran cereal, and whole grain crackers are genuinely high in phosphorus, and in a form that is more bioavailable than most people realize. The National Kidney Foundation's dietary guidelines explicitly identify whole grain products as a category to limit in chronic kidney disease. This is one of the most common surprises in my practice. Patients who made the conscious switch from white to whole wheat as a health improvement have inadvertently increased their phosphorus burden over time. The counterintuitive guidance here, when kidney function is compromised, is that white bread and white rice are actually the better choices. This is exactly the kind of thing worth discussing openly with your doctor once you know your eGFR. The fourth food is canned and packaged soups and instant meals. The damage here is primarily sodium, with phosphate additives compounding the problem. A standard can of soup routinely delivers 800 to 1200 milligrams of sodium per serving. The CDC identifies canned soups as one of the single largest contributors to total sodium intake in the American diet. For a kidney patient whose daily sodium limit is 1500 to 2000 milligrams, a single bowl of canned soup can consume nearly half of that entire day's budget before anything else is eaten. The fix is genuinely manageable. Homemade soups using low-sodium broth or canned options specifically labeled at under 140 milligrams of sodium per serving make a world of difference. Here's exactly what I want you to do, laid out in 7 specific steps. Step 1. At your very next doctor's appointment, ask specifically for an eGFR test. Not just a creatinine reading, but an eGFR. Write it down right now if you need to. The phrase is simple. I would like to check my eGFR. That is all you need to say. Step 2. If your eGFR comes back below 60, ask for a referral to a renal dietitian, not just a general nutritionist. A renal dietitian is someone specifically trained in kidney nutrition, and they will build a plan around your actual numbers. Step 3. Start reading labels for phosphate additives. Any ingredient with the letters POS in the name, such as sodium phosphate, disodium phosphate, or phosphoric acid, indicates inorganic phosphorus. Limit or avoid those products whenever possible. Step 4. Swap high potassium fruits for lower potassium ones. Bananas become apples. Oranges become blueberries. Avocado becomes a small drizzle of olive oil for your healthy fat needs. Step 5. Move from canned to fresh or frozen vegetables with no added salt. If you absolutely must use canned vegetables, drain and rinse them thoroughly under running water. This simple step removes up to 40% of the added sodium. Step 6. Ask your pharmacist to review all of your supplements. Many standard multivitamins contain phosphorus and potassium at levels that are perfectly fine for healthy adults, but genuinely problematic for compromised kidneys. Your pharmacist can flag anything worth discussing with your physician. Step 7. Bring a 1-week food diary to your next appointment. Not an app, not a digital file, just a simple piece of paper works perfectly. It gives your doctor a realistic picture of your actual everyday diet, and it makes that short 15-minute appointment dramatically more productive for both of you. A few questions I hear constantly. How do I bring this up without seeming like I am questioning my doctor? You are not questioning anyone. You are simply coming prepared. Say something like, I have been reading about kidney function and aging, and I would like to check my eGFR at my next blood work. Every genuinely engaged doctor welcomes that kind of engaged patient. What if my eGFR is only slightly below normal? Does all of this still apply? Yes, proportionally, it does. Stage 3A does not require the same strict restrictions as Stage 4, but it does mean that the trajectory of your kidney function deserves real attention. Small early changes have far greater impact than larger changes made too late in the game. Can dietary changes actually reverse kidney damage? In most cases, beyond the very earliest stages of disease, no, not fully. The honest goal is to slow or entirely stop the progression. Patients who make the right adjustments early consistently stabilize at levels that let them avoid dialysis for years longer than those who do not. For most people I have cared for, that is not a consolation prize. That is the difference between continued independence and a life organized around dialysis appointments. I want to come back to something personal before I finish. I think about my own mother often when I record videos like this one. She was 68 and she felt completely fine. She was eating bananas every morning for her blood pressure. She was eating whole wheat bread because her doctor had recommended it for heart health years earlier. She was having canned soup for lunch because it was easy and low in fat. She was not being careless at all. She was being thoughtful with the information she had been given. But her eGFR had been quietly declining for years. When her doctor finally ran the number and called me about it, her result was 44. I am a kidney doctor. I have dedicated my career to understanding exactly what these foods do inside the body, and my own mother was eating several of them every single day, fully believing she was protecting her health. We made the changes together. Her eGFR stabilized. She is 74 now, still cooking, still walking every single morning at sunrise. But I think often about that number, 44, and I wonder what it would have become if we had discovered it even a year later than we did. I made this video because I cannot possibly be in every exam room when a doctor tells a patient to watch their diet without ever saying specifically what that actually means. But I can be here speaking directly to you right now. So please leave a comment below. Tell me one of 3 things. Either I am getting my eGFR checked, or I am making changes today, or I am sharing this with my family. Then please share this video with someone you love who is over 60. That share is a genuine act of care and love. And if this gave you something real and practical to bring to your very next doctor's appointment, please subscribe to this channel. This is what I do here with every single video I make. You deserve to walk into that next appointment knowing exactly what I have shared with you today. This is Dr. Thomas Smith. Take care of your kidneys. Take care of the people you love. I will see you in the next video.